Mama taught me to share, but I don't think we will this time.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, live edition. And I got my man, Zach Blackerby, and my other man, Daryl Dapprich, and we are ready to boog. I said before we got on, unbridled, reckless boog, talking about the SEC regular season champion, Auburn Tigers. You guys look a little different. You know what? I can't quite put my finger on, but I think you're champions. You look like champions.
We are, and we're not sharing it with anybody, baby.
We ain't sharing nothing. I love it. Auburn knocks off Kentucky. We talked about that in the reaction show, but the greatest was the way Alabama went down. Nate Oates still saving those timeouts for, I guess, the SEC tournament, the NCAA tournament. I don't know.
Should we pause 5 seconds?
Pause 5 seconds for station identification.
Station identification. That's right.
Oh, man, I can't wait to break all this down. We got so much to talk about. But before we do that, you guys got a little prize in the mail this past week. We got some Uncle Keith's red sauce got sent your way. You guys sent me pictures. Y'all had celebratory salsa after the game. How was it?
It was great. I mean, I got done watching the game, and then obviously after the Tennessee-Alabama game, I was in the mood for some nachos. So I made me some SEC outright champion nachos. And guess what I didn't do with those nachos with the Uncle Keith's red sauce on them? I didn't share them.
Oh, no.
I kept them all to myself.
Let's go. Use coupon code TheBarn25. You can take 25% off your order at UncleKeithsRedSauce.com. They got the mild. They got the red top spicy. Zach, which one was your favorite?
I haven't had the spicy one yet. I've just had the normal one so far. Okay, it was great.
The red top, you can't stop. Once you start, you can't stop. So just be prepared. Auburn family, got to show them some love, show them some support. Uncle Keith's red sauce. It's good, y'all. Auburn is your 2024-2025. I don't know how I feel about. I can't quite get to the dash part. I just go 2025. We're the 2025 SEC champions. Feels good, man. Feels good to do it the way we did it. Clinch with 2 games, or I guess 2 games remaining, and then you get to see it. It was Alabama losing that clinched it, which made it that much better. At what point in the season, let's just go back a little bit. At what point in the season did you think this team's got a shot?
I mean, in Maui, right? I mean, if we want to go like way, way early, but I mean, I guess that's an easy answer. So I'll go something a little more creative here. When Auburn wrecked Mississippi State without Janai Broome, I thought that was kind of one of those moments where I'm like, what are we dealing with here? Like, because at that point, the storyline was like, oh my goodness, Janai Broome is so good and he's got these other pieces. And then it turned into, oh my gosh, this team is so good. And Janai Broome is just the cherry on top. So I'll say I think we beat Mississippi State, but was it 22 without the best player in college basketball? I'll go with that one.
I like that one. And that's probably the one I would have chose. So to be original, I'm going to go to my second.
Creative. I was purposely
you are being creative, but that's the right answer. That's the best answer. But I have I guess a 1 and a 1A. For me, if it's not the fact that they won big games without Broome, it was the 2 games that I felt like they were destined to lose, that you felt like they were going to lose. You start to prepare yourself mentally, they're going to lose this game, and they won them. The Tennessee game, and that was one I thought, okay, well, and they won. And the South Carolina game, when it was so gloom and doom, that's when Broome gets hurt. It looks like South Carolina. It just doesn't look like Auburn's day. And they find a way to win both of those games when it looked like they weren't. That's when I thought, okay, that they have the it factor. This team is going to get it done.
And I'll piggyback on specifically the Tennessee one. Auburn was down like 4 with like a minute and a half left or something, if I remember correctly. I remember I was watching it in a hotel room in Birmingham, and I'm like, I remember like laughing at myself. I'm like, I still thought we were going to win just because that's who this team is. It's like it makes no sense the way like points have been so hard to come by in this game, or we're down 4, there's a minute left or whatever, and it's like I still think we're going to win, and obviously they did. Miles Kelly with the clutch 3 to go ahead there, but that's just kind of like, I don't know, just the confidence and belief. It's like, yeah, this team finds ways to win. It doesn't matter who it's against.
I think mine was definitely the Alabama game. I felt like I still feel like they're a really good basketball team. They're one of the best in the country. And it was, you really went in there and manhandled them on their own court. You really went in there and controlled the game from start to finish. It was never, I mean, they cut it close a few times, but it was never really tied for I think we were tied for a grand total of, minute and 40 seconds, but just they never really threatened. I mean, you were in control the entire game. And at that point in time, I was like, I remember thinking this. I think I told my dad after this game, I was like, Dad, there's nobody in the country that Auburn can't beat. Like, I don't care. Last year we were worried about which seeding we'd get, which draw we'd get. I really don't know that I care about the draw this year.
Oh, I love that.
I think you could draw. I think we could get any draw out there. Auburn can win it. There's just nobody out there that I don't feel like we can play with. And that is a crazy feeling for Auburn basketball. Yeah. I don't know that I haven't really felt that way about football, maybe ever. But I definitely feel that way about this team. I feel like they can beat absolutely anybody. I want to talk about the team in general and just go back in time a little bit and talk about this roster and Bruce putting this thing together. And I talked about it a little bit on my show, my reaction show. There's a lot of doubt, and a lot of it came from the Auburn fan base, especially when we were trying to add folks in the portal, and maybe there were some perceived misses, and this goes all the way back to even last year too. You don't really have a true NBA superstar on the roster. I think Janai Broom's going to be an NBA player. But you just don't necessarily have, maybe Tahad Pettiford becomes one in the coming year, but I don't know that you have that true NBA superstar. Is this one of the best coaching jobs, definitely of Bruce Pearl's career, but like just in general that you can think of, taking a team of, all these guys and then just being so dominant in the most dominant SEC conference, maybe the most dominant conference period ever in the history of college basketball?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect storm. I think that, there used to be an old adage that you had to have at least 2 NBA players on your roster to win a national championship. That used to be how it was. In this day and age of college basketball, it's more about getting guys that are coming back for their 3rd and 4th year and that fit, okay? You could tell early on that this team had great chemistry and played for each other. So when the sum of the pieces, the sum of it is just greater than the whole because of how he's able to plug people in and the depth and how, front court, back court. So he may not have NBA superstars, but he has really, really good college basketball players and a lot of them in depth and that just fit perfectly. It's like a puzzle. It's rare that it all comes together in a year like this. And it is his coaching job because he helped design the roster. And guys, don't forget, he did this while missing on what many thought was the key component to this portal class.
Yes.
Everybody thought the biggest piece to this team was going to be J.P. Pegues, including me. Yeah. Furman beat Virginia, needed him in the point guard. It wasn't that they thought Miles Kelly was going to be – they thought he was going to be good, but better than Pegues. Pegues was supposed to be the missing piece, the point guard you needed to get. And he didn't miss, but it just hasn't, come to fruition. And look what they're still doing.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Even though when we added Miles, it was kind of late in the process. It's like, oh, this is just a cherry on top. I don't know if we saw this coming. I think we all believed in what he could be as a shooter, and he has been. Obviously what he did this weekend was historic, but he's been a complete player, and he's battled through injury. And now that he's healthy, and Daryl, you called that from the get-go. Like as soon as he's been healthy the last month, he's been phenomenal. But what's amazing about this, and I mean, I think you're kind of hinting at this, Kyle, is he's doing this. Bruce Pearl's doing this with guys that like weren't anybody's first call. Like people weren't trying to get Chaney. People weren't like, I mean, Miles is pretty sought after. And ironically, as you said, Daryl, like Pegues was the guy that everybody wanted, and Auburn got that. But I mean, even with Chad Baker Mazar of, San Diego State or whatever, it's like the core, the meat of this roster, the production, like none of these guys were anybody's first call, and they've just exceeded expectation. It's been absolutely tremendous.
And think about this, guys, too, real quick. Remember the Auburn fan base going after Bruce and the doom and gloom because Auburn missed on the kid that went to Oklahoma, Duke. And then also Tyron Lawrence.
Yeah.
Tyron Lawrence was one.
And Godfrey, the kid from Clemson. And everyone kept going, Bruce was another swing and a miss. Bruce whiffed. Yeah, he really whiffed, didn't he? So that
Ivy Curry, that was another one.
Yep.
Ivy Curry. I thought I was going to have to log off of message boards when Ivy Curry visited UCF and then didn't come to Auburn. Like, didn't come visit Auburn. I thought I was going to have to log off because it was
But really, like, the win that – we talked about it when it was happening, but we probably don't mention it enough. But keeping Janai Broome is the win. Like, I don't think any of us will ever truly know, like, how much of a battle that was. It doesn't really matter. It's the fact that he stayed. But to me, like, keeping Janai Broome was the transfer portal win.
We've talked about this for football. You always talk about new additions, and the new additions get all the headlines. But not only did you kept him for 3 years, you kept him for multiple years. Like he could have gone to the NBA. Excuse me, could have gone to the NBA, or at least he could have gone pro. Whether he would have gotten drafted higher or not, he's gotten better every year too. It's the levels that he's added to his game.
Looks like a totally different player.
Totally different player. Kind of skipping around here. How did y'all feel about? Did you see Kentucky's pretty mad about the BTA after the game? Have you seen all that?
Yeah, I have.
So you saw the celebration like on the court. They actually had belts. It was not just a pantomiming. They actually had physical belts. And
do you think that was predetermined, or did a fan loan them a belt?
I would have given my belt. I mean, I hope.
So what is that like? Does Zahad just go up to somebody like, "Hey, can I borrow your belt real quick?" Like, what's the logistics?
I think you don't have to say anything. I think they just make eye contact and they just say BTA, and then you just take your belt off and you give it to them. But no, they started doing the belt thing, passing it around, and I think Kentucky's On3 site was like, the most disrespectful thing that's ever been done at Rupp Arena was done this past Saturday, and this kind of stuff. I can't believe you missed that. That was one of my favorite things that I saw.
Was that the Matt Jones thing?
It was not Matt Jones, but I did make sure to say something to Matt Jones because
sure
remember go ahead.
He said something. He did tweet out something that was borderline throwing shade, and I can't remember what it was about the celebration.
All I said was, back early in the summer of last year when he was talking about how Kentucky football was going to make the playoffs, and he said, you don't even have to be that good to beat Auburn at home. So I said something. He's tweeted something complaining about the officials, which is crazy because they shot more free throws and got more. We had more foul calls, but said something about the officials, and I said something like, we didn't even have to be that good to win in Rupp Arena. Like, it didn't even have to be that good. We just were and won by 20 or whatever, 15, 17, however many points it was. Love whipping up on the Cats, breaking the streak. Heard a lot about that. They said it a bunch. I know it's historic, but my gracious, that was said 100 times during.
Daryl, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
During the broadcast.
Next topic. No, it's so good.
Did you think it was in my?
Daryl already did this. We don't need to go back.
Okay. Yeah. Let's not go back. There.
It's funny though because I'm glad that it's just perspective because a lot of people did lead with that all across the social medias and the media and all that, and some think that it was. I believe it became a secondary story once Tennessee won. I think it. I really do believe it fell a little bit in the eyes of importance. Once you got that outright, that changes the whole complexion of that. But anyway, yeah, it's just a little funny inside joke.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
You
And
brought that.
definitely symbolic, though. I mean, just to kind of put a bow on that. I mean, definitely symbolic of, okay, Auburn basketball has had a ceiling seemingly throughout the entire history of things, and this team doesn't care about it. It's busting through all of those. So yeah, to Daryl's point, yeah, no question.
You mentioned the Tennessee game. I've got to tell you the story. So I was in Atlanta, and this is Tennessee, Alabama we're talking about, and I was going to something for my daughter, and there was a long period of time where we had to drop them off, and it was me and my son. I've always wanted to go to the varsity. I've never been to the varsity in downtown Atlanta. So we're going to go to downtown Atlanta. I'm listening to the Alabama game, and as we're about to pull in the parking lot, I think they were up 4 and got fouled. So Alabama was going to the line with like 30 seconds left. I was like, the game's over. So I just, turn it off, pull in the parking lot,
right,
walk into the varsity. And if you've ever been there, you go up to the counter, and there's like a dining room way off to your right. And there's a couple of dining rooms behind you, and there's TVs in the dining rooms behind you. So I'm thinking about what I want, step up to the counter. Hey, what do you have? So you start ordering. I'm like, hey, I want the triple stack with bacon. I want the onion rings. I want this. I want that. And then all of a sudden you hear, wow, everybody goes nuts behind me. And then my phone starts lighting up. I missed the whole thing.
The collapse.
The collapse, and the buzzer beater hit as I was ordering my food at the varsity. So then I get my food. I run in there to try to catch the celebration. And obviously I missed that, but what a way that to me may be the most satisfying part of all of it. I know that's probably little brother syndrome, but just kind of is what it is.
What'd you get at the varsity, and did it live up to the hype?
Oh, every bit of it.
It did live up to the hype.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's just I like nostalgic stuff, so it was good.
Yeah,
it was good. No, I mean, were y'all watching when it all happened? Like
I turned it off as well.
Oh,
and went and got something in the kitchen, came back and checked my phone and went into a particular Discord.
Yeah.
And could not believe what I was reading when everybody went nuts in there. And so that's how I found out. And then I turned it on real quick. I mean, that's how unlucky I was. I just walked away. Same scenario as you, Kyle, when they were up 4. I was like, well, I'm going to go get me something to drink or whatever. Walked away. And, oh, man, it was and again, it's there's a lot of people that want to paint this as little brother syndrome, or look how excited they were because we're in their head. No, it clinched the title outright, period. So of course you're going to be excited. You don't want to share that crap with anybody.
No. I think the best part is that the 5-second violation, and that Nate Oates had 2 timeouts. I think that's probably what helps me go to bed.
It's unbelievable. The whole sequence, because part of the reason why Auburn fans don't like Nate Oates is because he's really, really good. And it's just so out of character.
Yeah.
That Alabama basketball team, what he's done there the last 2 seasons, especially, it's kind of what we've been used to this year, as far as they usually just find a way. And when it's close at the end, they find ways to win basketball games. And just the 5-second call was way more surprising to me than Tennessee going down there and, shooting the 1.5 court shot, but it was dang close to it. I mean, I watched it. I was yelling. My 4-year-old was like, Daddy, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I'm like, Daddy's great.
I'm better than okay.
Daddy's okay right now.
Was he not mega? Meshack was mega casual down the court. I was thinking he was not going to get the shot off. He just took his time with those 3 seconds.
How about Rick Barnes trying to call timeout? And he's mad that he couldn't get it. He's over there screaming, and then the ball goes in the air, and he still throws his hands up in the air okay, we won, but I wanted a timeout. Classic.
There was a great camera angle of that. Whenever he's mad, he's trying to get a timeout, and obviously they didn't give it to him. And thank goodness they didn't, because
no kidding.
The shot goes in. Alabama loses. Auburn clinches the SEC title with 2 games left.
Say that again, Kyle.
Clinches the SEC title with 2 games less. James Stallings, hey guys, as much as Auburn basketball is grabbing all the headlines as it should, let's not let baseball and softball Let's not let baseball and softball are rolling too. Let's go. Love y'all. Hey, Zach Dapp and I were talking about this right before we got on. You're dead.
Yep.
You're dead on. Baseball sweeps in Arlington, beat the number 9 team in the country, Oregon State, and then I guess they took down Baylor today. So very impressive.
Ohio State, which is crazy.
Very
didn't have to come back from 10 runs down. And you know what they didn't do? They also didn't shoot flip off people on social media after they beat Ohio State.
Love it. Yeah. And I think that was Alabama baseball or something like that.
Yeah, Alabama baseball came back to beat them and then did a social media post where they 8 of them just shot birds in the camera. Auburn didn't do that, and they didn't even make it a comeback. They just ruled them.
Can you imagine what Butch Thompson would do if his players did that?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, that would be – yeah, it has been – and we talked about this, Kyle, before we hit live. It has been one of the best sports weekends.
Oh.
I mean, the baseball team – and I'm glad that Baylor's getting used to getting those L's against Auburn because that's coming in September or August.
Ooh.
But to beat – Ohio. I mean, this is a team that lost to Holy Cross, and people are like, "What the heck?" And they've righted the ship, and they beat 2 really good baseball teams. And Oregon State's the real deal. I mean, they are. They're perennially top 10, top 15. So
love it. And then softball's the number 1 team in RPI, I think, in the country.
Incredible.
Just on, I think they're like 19-1. You can play a pile of softball games in a very short period of time. They've already played 20 games.
Well, the fun thing about this team is they're swinging the bat. I mean, that was what Auburn's been lacking the last 3 or 4 years. Let's just be honest. This team's fun to watch because they put runs on the board and they swing the bat, and that's fun. When you go out to the Jane B. Moore Field, you want to see offense. So
Yep. I think they
great weekend.
Got coaches that actually care.
Exactly. Amen.
It's crazy how that actually helps when they care, isn't it?
And then Keandre Lambert-Smith and Eugene Asante being like,
and Jarquez Hunter.
Insane.
All those guys had really good combines. I mean,
KLS running a sub 4.4. I did not see that coming.
It was the 5th fastest time for a wide receiver, and it was a 4.37. Unofficial, which is
okay.
Way fast. Way faster than I expected. You're right. Sub 4.4. Yeah, 4.37.
I mean, that's insane to me. That's just he's kind of known as this like mid-range possession guy that goes out there and it's like, wow, that's.
And Jarquez was what 4.41 or something like that. I didn't expect that from him. That
frame. Eugene Asante is like the most athletic linebacker in the draft.
He had the first or second fastest 40 for a linebacker. What a great weekend for all Auburn Tigers. Great job. Let's talk SEC tournament. Okay. Number 1, I don't want to have the conversation about resting. That I don't. I want to go ahead and win it. I've decided. I'm ready to go ahead and go in there and win it.
Can we back up to this week first? Can we talk about this week first?
That's a good point. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this week.
Because I agree.
I want to win these 2 games. If somebody's actually hurt worse than we think, like if Janai is like not fully recovered, I think you sit him. Or if Denver, he missed a big chunk of the game on Saturday. It's like if he's actually hurt, you sit him. But if these guys are good to go, like I just have a hard time seeing them not play their normal amount of minutes this week.
You got to stay locked in, man. It's still a long time until the NCAA tournament. I mean, you're still over 2 weeks away. So I don't know that you want to just write everything off and just coast the rest of the way. Like you still need to stay focused and still get after it. I'm with you. I want to go ahead and close it out. If you can put up 17-1 in this SEC as a record, I mean, this is legendary stuff we're talking about. I definitely want to go ahead and close it out. I'm with you. I think Auburn does it. I think Auburn goes 2-0 over the next 2 games.
So I'll give a little different perspective. I don't want to rest anybody more than just 1 game. I think that Denver probably is not playing against A&M because of the ankle. His sister has said as much.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem letting him not play Tuesday against Texas A&M if he's a lot healthier for Saturday. Okay, because that's the bigger game in my opinion. If Broome needs his minutes limited a little bit, I'm okay with that Tuesday. I want to win out. I'm competitive as can be, but I also want to look big picture. And if Denver Jones and Janai Broome get a little bit of time off Tuesday to come back full bore Saturday and going into the SEC tournament, then I think that that's beneficial.
That's fine. I mean, I can jive with that. But I still want to pull it off. So,
Listen, I don't care if it's backgammon. I mean, I want that W, and I don't care.
Sure.
And I think
backgammon's intense.
It is. I would. Me and Zach talked about this on the show, on the live show. It'd be a good opportunity to get Ja'Kai Howard maybe 10, 12 minutes too.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. And then, does Hudson
How
play
many
a larger
shots-
role?
how many shots will Ja'Kai get off in 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes?
10, 1 a minute.
Right? Yeah. How many times is he touching the ball? I guess is the question. So,
Oh man.
I get both sides to it, and I almost think I would do what Daryl is saying. I just don't think it'll happen. I don't know if this is when we see Bruce pivot. I mean, we've never seen Bruce in this situation before, so we'll learn quickly about how he's gonna handle it. So I can't wait to see it. Is the number 1 overall seed locked up, you think, guys?
I've been hearing for the past couple of days, weeks, or whatever, that there would have to be 2 losses for there even to be a conversation around it. So you got 2 games left. I like this point right here. FJB want to set the record for quad 1 wins. I think 16 is the record, and we're 16-2 right now. So I think both of these games will be quad 1 wins. How crazy would that be to be 18, possibly 18-2?
Do we have any wins that could fall out of quad 1 status?
There's probably some. I mean, you got to think some of the Mississippis and
it's Ole Miss, quit falling apart, please.
Yeah, please quit falling apart.
We need this.
I'd keep an eye on the Memphis win, maybe.
Oh, great point.
Yeah,
the Memphis one. I will say this too. When we were talking about earlier, what did we think, or when did we think this team? I remember telling Zach straight up that 14-4 would win this conference. That's how good this conference was, historically good. That this conference would beat each other up. Yep. And 14-4 would win this conference. And now, at the very least, 15-3, 16. It's going to take 16-2, 15-3 to do it. Obviously, it's already done. Mm-hmm. But even if Auburn was to lose out, they win the conference at 15-3. It's just amazing. I mean, it's so hard to do.
What do y'all think about this? Dave Cody, Broome's out of National Player of the Year now, so sit him in Denver. I don't think he's out. Cooper did not have their best game.
He got hurt. Yeah.
He got hurt. He did come back in. I mean, he had 16 points, but it's not like he just lit the world on fire. Like he just did something so much beyond. I don't know.
So
I don't know.
I thought he was. So I thought he was out of it, just as far as guts and feelings and all of that. But
he's still the betting favorite, isn't he?
Yeah, that's where I'm headed. So normally with these awards, the sports books tell you.
Sure.
And they're actually tied now. They're both at -115.
So
they're actually tied right now. So I don't think that's been the way. I don't think it's been that way all year. So what does that mean?
It's going to be a crazy final week. This is an epic battle.
If it's tied, my gut says it goes to Cooper.
I agree. I think Janai has to overachieve it, even if that's unfair. I think
it is unfair, but that's just, that's the way it is.
Here's my bold prediction. He locks it down, clinches it, and wins it with a stellar performance Saturday against Alabama.
25-12. I'm just going to go ahead and say
a top 8-10 Alabama team, perhaps, because if they slip up and lose to Florida. But that game, because Alabama gets a lot of recognition and a lot of exposure, he goes off against Alabama, and with Dick Vitale there, and it's over. He wins it, I think. That's my prediction.
I love it.
I love that too. Yep.
All right, let's talk SEC tournament, NCAA tournament. I'm looking at the draw currently. We'd have Mississippi State and South Carolina would be the round 1 game. The winner of that would play Kentucky, and then the winner of that would play Auburn. How do you feel about that if it falls that way?
Come on.
Bring it.
Yeah.
I don't care who the draw is anymore. It's crazy. I literally.
In a perfect world, I'd prefer not to play Florida at any point. But like, you're probably gonna have to play them in the SEC tournament championship if it goes that way. But
you'd be in the tournament championship,
yeah. I mean, outside of that, I don't really think it matters.
Yeah, I like getting another shot at Florida, kind of like last year. You know, they beat Auburn pretty good at their place, and then Auburn had an opportunity to play them in the championship, and as you guys said, went BTA. So I'd like to get another. You always want to avenge, like I want to see Duke in the Final Four. You know, I'm tired of all this. I want to. You want to play the teams that beat you and you want to get them on a neutral floor. I know that Auburn lost to Florida at home, but definitely would love to see. Well, I told Zach, Kyle, my dream is that Yale somehow falls into Auburn's bracket, upsets somebody in the first round, and Auburn gets another shot at them.
I want Yale in Alabama's bracket.
Yeah.
And they pull out.
Oh man. And then you got the NCAA tournament. We kind of already talked about it. It feels like Auburn's definitely going to be a number 1 seed. So it's like the only thing really over the next 2 games that we're going to find out is if Auburn maintains the number 1 overall seed. And like I said, every analyst, every bracketologist has said you can't even have a conversation until Auburn loses 2 games. So I assume if Auburn wins one of these next 2 games, they should be a lock to be the number 1 overall seed. Which is it a big deal that you just got to playing in Lexington? Do you feel like that's going to benefit Auburn pretty big? I mean,
interesting.
The first 2 round games, you feel like you should have pretty good matchups. You should be able to advance fairly easy, but you just shot incredibly well in Lexington. If that's where you end up playing, that's where the first round games are. Correct?
It's Atlanta. Isn't Atlanta?
Atlanta's Sweet 16 in Elite 8.
Okay, and remember how good Auburn's playing in Atlanta the last couple of years too.
Yeah,
in that hoops giving stuff. So
that
it just doesn't just feel like this is the year, guys. I mean, with what happened this weekend, and then the way you clinched it, and then where you're going in the first 2 games, and then in Atlanta, like it just, I mean, it was a similar situation for UConn last year with where they played their games and their path to the tournament. And it just feels like, I don't know, guys, it just feels like it's that kind of year.
There is no better pathway that Auburn will ever have to get to the Final Four. Get to the Final Four. I don't think there will ever be one as good as it could be should they win one of these next 2 or both of these next 2 games. They're the number 1 overall seed. They play in Lexington, then they play in Atlanta. I think that would be – I just don't know that you could draw up a better scenario.
What else do you want?
Yeah, what else could you ever ask for?
Right.
I agree.
Good.
I agree.
So that's – I mean, big week, 2 big games left. We play Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday at 8.
Tuesday at 8. So quick turnaround, late game in College Station. How do we typically play there? I don't even know. It feels like they play really good.
It's going to be ugly. They want to make it ugly, and we typically let them. So we'll see.
All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for tonight. Dynamite show. Dap, tell them where they can find you, support you, and be your friend.
Follow me on X, DAP6410. I'm on Locked on Auburn with Zach on Wednesdays and Fridays, and then we go live for every basketball game.
And it's dynamite every time.
Yep. As Daryl said, Locked on Auburn, available every day wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. And, of course, over at the Barn, auburn.com. Go subscribe today. And just quick sidebar, Lindsay's coverage of Auburn baseball so far this year at the Barn.
Incredible.
Elite.
And you get a Sonny DeShera weekend recap every Monday or Tuesday.
You're talking about former SEC Player of the Year?
Yeah, 2022 former SEC Player of the Year, Auburn star. I mean, I just don't think there's anybody doing it better for baseball than Lindsey Crosby, Sonny DeShera, Brad Law. I can't wait to hear them talk about this past weekend. So you can catch that at the Barn YouTube page, the Barn Auburn on YouTube. Definitely subscribe to thebarnauburn.com. Take $25 off your annual membership, and we'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
for listening, and drive home safely.